Yo, we just people from the north side. Once and Timmy's at the shore fine. Winter ready on the four ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your host, your boy, George Mackay. This episode is pre-recorded, so I'm not going to give you a date when it's going to drop because I have so much amazing content in the can. But regardless, I had to get this young lady on the show because if I didn't, she would have been WWE ID'd. That's how much faith I have in this young lady. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jaye Lynn to Straight Talk Wrestling. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am great. Like I said, my intro, I always pride myself on my intros, and I think you are the future of definitely Ontario indie. You are somebody who's been in the game for a short period of time, but already been able to go toe to toe with her idol, not once, but twice, and also be able to be on the fast track by some big names in the Ontario indie scene, have already given you the green light of how phenomenal you are. And most have said you're kind of a prodigy because you shouldn't be as good as you are with such a short time in. So when you hear that, that's my first question. When you hear that somebody like Gabriel Fuerza, who's been in this game, in this business, a teacher himself, one of the best in Ontario, has said your fourth match in was insane and you shouldn't be as good as you are. What does that make you feel?
Yeah, I saw that and I had to watch it like 5 times to believe it. It's insane. It's an incredible feeling. Um, I honestly can't describe how it makes me feel because someone like him, I sent it to my family. I'm like, you got to see this. I'm like, I actually can't believe this. Um, it's hard because I feel like it's nice to hear that from someone like Gabriel Forza, because it's so easy to be hard on yourself. So, yeah, it's definitely an incredible feeling. That's for sure.
Absolutely. It is so hard. It's so easy to be hard on yourself. I am my own worst critic. I get in my head more times than not. Doing this 11 years, and out of all the great conversations that I've been honored and able to have, you would think it comes easy, but yet every time I have an interview, something scheduled, get those little butterflies in my stomach because I always want to make sure that I deliver for my guests so they have an enjoyable experience. But I want to make sure after they can go back and watch themselves in the interview and be like, that wasn't an interview. That was one hell of a great conversation. So I understand the pressure of being your own worst critic. Trained at Crossbody Academy, trained by Ben Ortmanns, who was a guest on the show way back in the early days, was one of the guys that gave me time early on. And I always appreciate him for that. And what was your early training experience like? Like when you went in, and I see Jaye Lynn and I see resemblance to your idol, and we'll get to that a little later on in the conversation. But when you walked into the squared circle for the first time, you're running those ropes, you're taking those bumps. Everybody has a first bump story, which is sometimes funny, sometimes sad, sometimes embarrassing. But what was your first bump like? And when you took it, did you realize that it had that I want to do this forever feeling?
Yes, honestly, it was, first of all, speaking about Ben, he says to say hello. So I just
Oh,
have to say that.
wow. Hey, Ben, how are you, buddy?
Um, Honestly, it was insane. Even just stepping inside of a ring for the first time, I think you forget how far you come because when I first stepped into the ring or like even seen it, I was like, is this real? Like, this is insane. Like, it's crazy. And then I remember we did rolls and we did some other drills, and then it got to a bump, and it took me so long to even have the courage to try it. I was standing there with Tyler Thomas, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. And he's like, why? Like, you've done so many other things. And I was like, but you're just like throwing yourself at the mat. Like, what? And he was like, just try it. And I stood there about to try it. And for so long, I was like, I can't. Like, I literally can't. So just that extra courage, he finally was like, just try it. And I did it. And it was just like, I can't explain the feeling like when people ask me even like why I love wrestling, I just like get this feeling. Like it's just so I love it.
I can see that.
The adrenaline it brings me. Like I love taking bumps. I'll even now I'll like do drills and I'll just start laughing. And I'm like, so I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I just can't stop. I'm so happy.
I love that. I think your personality is infectious. I came into this conversation with only 3 sips of coffee, and I'm already more awake than I've ever been all weekend. So kudos to you for putting me in a great mood. And now that brings me to my next question, because if everyone could see how infectious your personality is, they must have guessed who your idol is. But if they haven't, I will announce it is Smiley Kylie Rae. And of course, it is Smiley Kylie Rae. This girl has had a grin from ear to ear before I pushed record. And even now, she has not stopped smiling. So, of course, Kylie Rae would be her idol. And you got to wrestle your idol so early on. I hear stories from so many wrestlers who say, I've been chasing this match for a long time. I've been wanting this match for a long time. I've been trying to get this opportunity for 5, 6, 7 years. And here is Lynn. You're going to get your idol match number 3 of your entire career. Talk to me about that.
Honestly, it was insane. She, like, honestly, at the beginning, when I found out, I I felt bad because I was like, I can't believe that like I get this opportunity and not, first of all, I want it to be known how much I appreciate it. So it's hard because I don't want people thinking like with how early on I am too, like I haven't proved myself or something. So I felt bad because I'm like, not everybody gets that opportunity, even in like their whole career. And like I get to do it early. So not like I felt bad, but I was like, oh, like, do I deserve this? Again, being your worst critique, it's like you just think about all of that and like more about what others are gonna think about you having that so early on. Um, but it was incredible. I am very grateful. I'm very thankful to have that. It honestly felt, I thought I would be very nervous. And I was kind of beforehand. Um, but like in the ring, it just felt so natural and so fun. And just like Kylie's personality, she's just literally my favorite. So I'm so glad that I got to do that with her.
I love that. She's literally my
Especially,
favorite. Go ahead.
especially at crossbody, now that it has ended. I'm very grateful that I got to do that where I started to learn as well.
I love that. I love that. And see, this is what I love about these conversations because it's so fluid. You're already queuing in the next question before you even know about the next question. So we're gonna get back to Kylie a little bit later on, but you already brought it up, so I got to steer there. Crossbody, been around for a long time. Been around for close to a decade, I believe, or just under a decade. And Ben Ortmanns, Tid, they started this together. Tyler Thomas as well came in as a coach. Holden Albright, I know, was a coach there for a little bit as well. So many amazing individuals start this school. And a lot of people think it's, oh, you just start a wrestling school, you open up the doors, and it's going to make money. And a lot of the times it doesn't. It's a challenge sometimes to keep the doors open. But I know the passion that Ben has, and I know that he fought for every ounce of that place till its last breath. And only just a week ago, now this episode will drop much later, but only a week ago from us recording this conversation, everyone at Battle Arts, current students, old time students, everyone had to say their final farewell to Crossbody for now. Doesn't mean it can't come back, but for right at this moment in time, Crossbody's doors have officially closed. And when you talk about where you got your start, which was not so long ago, but here you are now, and you reflect on that, what was the whole journey like at Crossbody? I mean, there was challenges for you, like you said. You were challenged by your first bump, but then everything just became infectious, and you still have so much fun. And there must have been students that came in, lasted a couple sessions, maybe you made a connection with on friendship, and then they disappeared again because it was just like, you know what, this isn't for me, or this isn't feasible. Or some people get lazy or complacent. I know for a fact I've had a gym membership for years. I can count on one hand how many times I've gone to the gym. I still pay for it, but I can count how many times I've actually gone to the building. And what I've gone to the building, the last time I think was 2023. And I'm still paying for it. 15 bucks a month comes out of my account. Oh yeah, I still have that thing. I got to go back there. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this week. And then it's like, I'm going to order pizza tonight. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I'll think about it. I don't know. I'm not sure. So when you find the passion and you find something that you love and you find a school that you love and it has to close its doors, and I know you, I can already see that you're a student of the game, and you probably still think to yourself you have so much more to learn. What's that like for you? What's it like watching where you started close its doors, and have you already started searching for a new place where you can still hone your craft?
Um, first of all, I hope that everybody can find a passion that I have for wrestling because it's the best. Honestly, it's been a very rewarding journey. I don't live near the Cambridge area. I live about 2 hours away. So when I started there, I was finishing high school. And then, so throughout that summer, because my first time I went was May 25th, 2022. Throughout that summer, I worked and then I would drive down. At that time, I was doing 1 to 2 times a week, just because of the drive and just kind of going from high school to college. And then, so I didn't do it when I was off at school my first year. And then in the summer, I worked at home again and drove more, more likely, I want to say 2 times a week. And then, um, this past summer, I actually moved to one of my family's houses in Cambridge so that I was 10 minutes away rather than 2 hours so that I could be more consistent because I felt like the 1 to 2 times a week, especially when I wasn't doing it consistently, was not enough for me and like what I want to do with it. So I moved there and then I trained from the middle of May till the end of August, 3 times a week, every week, and loved it. I'm very grateful for the summer I had, especially now that crossbody has ended. That is probably going to be my favorite time of my life, honestly, for a very long time, because I was just so close. I would go to work, go to wrestling, go to the gym, and repeat, and it was the best. And then on weekends, me, Alex, Nilo, D. Smith, my favorite people, would go to these wrestling events, and it was just like the best way to spend my time. And so I'm very thankful for those opportunities. Now that finding out that crossbody has ended, it because there's other wrestling schools and there's other options. At the beginning, because I was away at school when Ben posted it, I was definitely upset because I was in shock. Like I didn't think that that would actually happen. And I didn't think because I'm in school in Thunder Bay right now, I didn't think I would be able to make it there again before it closed. So I was upset about that. And then I found out that it was extended till February 13th. That was the last date. And I actually flew home a week before that because I'm here for Sick Kids for a couple weeks. So I got to attend the last one. So I'm thankful for that. I was doing okay before I went there. For the last time, I was like, you know what, there's other opportunities, like thinking about it or like being upset about that it's closing isn't gonna do anything. So like just be thankful about the time that I had there. But then I was driving there on Thursday from my house and I was like 30 minutes away and I started crying and I was like, this is just becoming so real that this is the last time I'm driving here from my house when I would do that for so many times a week, so for so long. And I just couldn't believe it. And then when I got there, because I hadn't been there in a while, I saw that everything basically was packed up. So then a lot of tears were happening. Um, and it was a very emotional class, but I'm very grateful again that I got to go one last time. These last few days have definitely been harder than I thought. I've cried, like not yesterday, but Saturday I cried basically all day. And then I saw Ben's post about sorry we're closed and it was empty. And from then on, my night was not the best, but you know, we're going uphill. Um, yeah, it's actually very hard right now. I didn't think it would be this hard for me, but um, I try to keep that positive mindset that like you never know though when another door is going to open. And you never know what that will be until it opens because even with crossbody when that door opened for me, my dad messaged crossbody just because I wanted to try it and they like when I went to try out like I could have been too nervous because I was very nervous to go. I could have been too nervous and been like, no, I'm not going to do this. So like even just going and taking opportunities, you never know where that's going to get you. Because if I didn't take that, I would have never been where I am today. Um, so you just kind of have to look at it as that because, um, yeah. And then I'm very grateful that throughout my time in Thunder Bay, I was able to fly home on weekends because it's like a 2 hour flight. So I was able to wrestle and then just fly back. And I'm very grateful for that because it was hard leaving wrestling every year for school. It just got harder and harder. And so I was very glad to have those moments because it just like made me remember how much I love wrestling. And then I went back to Thunder Bay. Um, so yeah, I'm very grateful for that as well.
I like that. I think everything you said was emotional. It was honest. It was real, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the vulnerability for me. So thank you for that because a lot of people find themselves hard to open up, especially to a computer screen. So I appreciate that. I really do. When you look at school and how school is going, what are you taking and how long do you have left in your program?
I'm taking respiratory therapy and I'm in my last year. So I'm going to be done in the middle of May.
Okay, so boom, May you're done. You're gonna get that degree. You're gonna
That
go
is
on.
also that is also one reason why I was so upset because all throughout school I would be told, but you have a crossbody to come back to. You'll be back soon. And then I always think of, but you never know what's gonna happen. So I was always thinking about, but what if crossbody's not there? And then now I'm like, oh, I'm graduating. But then I'm like,
Crossbody's not there.
back. What am I gonna do? Where am I gonna be? Yeah.
Well, you know what? You will. I'm sure that there is a lot of schools who would love to have a trainee like you with that infectious personality and infectious love for wrestling. So, I mean, May you graduate, you get that degree, and then at that point, are you going to take some time away and try to go full force into wrestling while you can? Or is wrestling something that you love, will always be in your heart, but you know that school and your career and what you're striving for in your life is a little bit more on the forefront than pro wrestling?
I want to say because I don't know where I'm going to be training or where I'm going to get a job or where I'm going to be or what I'm doing. um, Definitely, I feel like being this young too and debuting with three amazing people and then versing Kylie Rae and having all of these matches with school, it's definitely been overwhelming. Um, and not that it was like too much for me. I feel like I knew what to expect. It was just like it was a lot.
Mhm.
Um, so I feel like because I spent my summer in Cambridge doing wrestling, I was the happiest I've ever been. I was very happy. But I feel like sometimes um you can have too much of something because then I went to Thunder Bay for school and then I was kind of like, well, what else do I do? Like what like I just love wrestling. Like who am I? Or like what do I value? I struggled with that. So I feel like it's actually been nice to not like to come home for shows and do that, but not be like super, super consistent as I was in the summer. Obviously, I want to get back to that point, but definitely school. Tyler Thomas and Ben Ortmanns will love me saying this, but school comes first for me, and um, my personal life, figuring that out, and then I definitely will take bookings and continue to train. It's just a matter of finding that because I don't want to rush into just finding a place or settling somewhere for that. I kind of want to combine my personal life with wrestling to be the best in both worlds. So I'm not lacking. I just want to have balance and be like aware of that.
I
And
like
I also, I just want to say, going back to my journey with crossbody, I just have to mention this because it's important.
that. Okay.
Um, I would not have been able to fly home as much as I would, or go when I moved in the weekend to Thunder Bay and then flew to Montreal to wrestle and then flew back to Thunder Bay. My sister did that all with me. I wouldn't be where I am today because I wouldn't be able to continue with wrestling while in school without the support system that I have. And I have an amazing, incredible family that basically every match I've had, they have all driven the 2 hours to watch me and then drive back home. And then I fly back. So just I wouldn't be able to do it financially or emotionally without the support of my family and my friends. So I'm very thankful for them. I just wanted to say that because I just love them. And I would not be able to do any of this without them.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a first on Straight Talk Wrestling. I myself, the host, I'm getting a little misty eyed. I'm getting a little misty eyed because you know what? It's very rare that you see someone who comes out before I ask the question about their support system. You just come out and say how amazing your support system is. And I want to say, like, I have 2 daughters and I would kill for them. They are my life. And my wife and my dog. Actually, the dog is first. I love my dog. She's a little Maltese poodle. She's adorable. She's my security blanket 150%. When I have a shit day, there she is at the front door, wagging her tail with not a care in the world. And I love her to death. She's my support system, but I love my wife and my kids. I have to say that. I have to say that. No, but I do. But I mean, when I look at your support system and I hear you talk about your sister, I hear you talk about your dad, I hear you talk about your family. That's got to be special. So I have to ask this question because now we have to get into the meat and potatoes of things. When you went to your parents, your support system, and you said, "Hey guys, guess what? Your daughter, I want to be a professional wrestler." What was the response? You said your dad messaged Crossbody, so I'm assuming your dad was, full force. Yes, let's do this. But what was the reaction from everyone?
They loved it because I always watched wrestling.
Okay.
2013 SummerSlam, John Cena versus Daniel Bryan. My dad will kill me if I get that wrong because I've asked him multiple times, but that's the first match I ever watched. My dad is a big wrestling fan, so that's how I got into it. So I would watch it all of the time. He would take me to events, loved it. But I would always watch it and I kind of just knew that I would do it. Like, I don't know, this weird feeling. And I would always watch it and be like, I can't wait to be a wrestler. I'm going to be a wrestler. I'm going to be in the WWE. And I would say all this before I knew the indies was a thing. Okay. So I always would say that and they would joke because like you never hear about wrestling. Soccer, football, you hear about that. Wrestling, you never hear about that. Coming from a small town too, it's like, really? You're not going to be able to do that. That's not achievable here. So they kind of just always laughed. And then when I think I was like 13 or 14 and we were watching WrestleMania at my dad's. And I was like, can I try it? I was like, is there any places here? And I was like, I feel like that's like a US thing. And he was like, actually, I don't know. So then I think he messaged Battle Arts and Crossbody. I forget. There was Crossbody and another one. And then they responded that I had to be 17 or something. I forget because it was back then. But then, so then a couple years later, my dad reached out when I was 18 and Crossbody replied. So I went there. And yeah, everyone loves it. They're all supportive. My brothers, they live in Alberta, and for my debut, they flew in to surprise me and flew out the next day. They just seen me for that time. So I just want to say my siblings are my best friends, and that will never change. I hope to live close to all of them one day because I love them. My sister would pick me up every single match I had in Cambridge on the weekends. She flew to Montreal with me so that I could do that. She honestly has done a lot for me. And even I was so stressed with school, I'm like, I can't figure this Montreal flight out. I'm like, I can't, I'm all stressed out. So she did all the planning. I basically just had to show up. And I honestly, just because of coming from a small town, not that I didn't expect the support that I have, like that sounds very bad, but I just wasn't expecting everybody to understand how much it meant to me. Um, so to have like even my cousins and like my sister's dad's side come to my events, like it was just insane. My mom's friends, like just everything. And then even when like weather was bad, I remember this past Thursday, the last day, I was like, nothing is stopping me, Mom, from going to Crossbody for the last time. And she was like, I know. She's like, it's a storm. And even if me and your stepdad have to follow you there in the car, we will get you there. Don't worry. Like just things that not everybody would do. I get a snowstorm, but like that's just who my family is. And my debut was my sister's birthday. And just it meant a lot to me because I would even ask her, like, but what do you want to do after? Like, it's your birthday. Like, it's not just about me for the whole day. And she's like, no, I don't care. Like, it was like, there was no like thinking about it. Like, everybody was just like showed up and was just happy. And I can't thank them enough for everything that they do for me. I literally could not do it without them. And I know I say that, but I really want that to be acknowledged because not everybody has a support system. Not everybody even has one person. So, like, the fact that I can rely on them, or just if I need their help, they're there and I know they are. I'm very grateful for that.
Man, you were just knocking this out of the park. Here's what we're gonna do for the rest of this interview. I'm just gonna leave, and you can. I don't need to ask any more questions. No,
I'm
honestly, it's
talking so much.
no, and I love that. I love that because I'm seeing the true passion and the humbleness, and I'm seeing where you came from, and I'm seeing what the future holds for you. And I gotta say, it's pretty damn bright. Okay. It's pretty damn bright. Your personality is infectious. There's no way ever, though, you could play a heel. You cannot. You are baby face through and through. You can't do it. You can't.
See,
You
this
can't
is when
do it. You can't. I'm
no,
sorry.
no. This is when my stubbornness comes in because I'm so stubborn that I would just want to be heel. Even Ben told me that. And when Ben told me that, I'm like, I kind of want to be heel one day just to prove them wrong that I can do anything I want.
Okay, let's try it right now. Let's try it right now. Okay, here's what I want from you to do. I want you to close your eyes, okay? And I want you just to straight face and not smile for 15 seconds. Just look at me. When you open your eyes, look at me with complete disdain and don't smile for 15 seconds. And I'm
Okay.
going to set a timer and I'm going to see if you can do 15 seconds. And if you can do 15 seconds, then maybe, just maybe,
Hey, but
you
just
got a
tell me
shot.
when you start.
Of course, of course, of course. We're timing. All right, here we go. And 3, 2, 1. I really thought you were going to crack. I did, but you made it 15 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, she's got a shot. She's got a shot. Guys, she
You know
can
what
do
I
it.
had to think about?
What?
That crossbody ended. So
Ah, there it is. See? Hey,
you know
that's
what?
okay.
You know what?
That's okay. Sometimes you gotta pull. Listen, Marlon Brando used to make himself cry when his mom took his teddy bear away when he was 6 months old. This is a thing. Method acting. It's a thing. It's good. It's good. I think I think though your heel journey will have to be well into your babyface run. It's got to be. But for right now, your personality is infectious. Your light is very bright, and your aura is fantastic. You, madam, are one of the most humble, sweetest, and overly infectious person I've ever met. So I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart. And I'm going to let you know now. We still have a few minutes left in the interview, but I'm going to let you know now. You're officially a member of the Straight Talk family. So anytime you want to come back, you're absolutely allowed to.
Thank you.
All right. So
Thank you.
my next question. This is a big one. We got to go back to Kylie Rae. We got to circle because it's not very often, like I said, early on in anyone's career, they get to fight their idol, their inspiration. So you walk in match one because you faced her twice, but you walk in match one. She's there, you're there. You know, she comes over and says, "Hey, how's it going?" You guys start planning your match, and you're planning. You're going through the story that you're about to tell, and you're maybe realizing you're realizing that it's business and you have to stay professional. But at the same time, you're like, "Oh my god, like I'm planning a match with my freaking idol. What do I do here?" Like there's a part of me that says I want to take a selfie and then another selfie, but then I also have to be like, okay, so I'm gonna drop kick you in the face, and then you're gonna roll me up, and then I'm gonna elbow you in the temple, and then when you're down on the ground and dizzy, I'm gonna kick you in your nose, and then after all it's said and done, I'm gonna pin you 1, 2, 3. So what was that whole process like for you?
Um, Honestly, I just went in with her because she's so kind and pure, and her energy is just, I can't explain her. This world doesn't deserve a Kylie Rae. Anyway, she just like, she's so happy and she's just always smiling and laughing that I can't help myself but just to do the same. So I feel like there's no like bridge to cross in a weird way because it kind of just felt like it just was like flowing. Like I did feel like a crazy fangirl though when I met her because she came out of Ben's car and I just ran up to her and cried and hugged her. And I was like, okay, that's maybe when I have to tone it down. Uh but it is my idol, so it's like balance.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, it was an incredible experience. Um it was definitely harder though, just being out of the ring and not training, and then um like just flying in from Thunder Bay because I don't train when I'm there. So it was harder because um I wish I could have like learned more moves or um trained a little bit more before that experience. Um but I hope to have that experience one day in the future again. And then I can reflect back on that match.
That is a very professional answer, my dear, and I loved it. I loved the answer. It was very real. I loved it. I also loved this part of you fangirling. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then I got to drive her to the airport, and every time I sit in my car, I look beside me and I think about how Kylie Rae was in my car.
Kylie Rae sat there.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
a butt indent
a
from Kylie Rae on that chair. There is.
it's insane.
Amazing. So, I mean, you've been personally endorsed by one of the current stars in Ontario indie wrestling. You've faced your idol not once, but twice. You've had an incredibly gifted support system all around you, from your trainers to your family to the friends that you've made in professional wrestling, which you'll be for life. And from what it sounds like, you're amazing siblings. So, the world is really your oyster at this point. So I hope that come May, when you get that degree, and you will, so congratulations on that. I hope that you find a place that you can continue to hone your craft. And I hope to see you at more shows. And let me tell you, I commentate for a lot of promotions in and around Ontario. I'm very blessed for that. So anytime somebody's like, I need somebody fresh, I need somebody new, I'm going to be like, Jaylyn, you got to go Jaylyn. Jaylyn all day. Jaylyn all day, guys. Don't, and trust me, she's got a shot at playing heel. She can do it. Just give her the opportunity. Just give her the opportunity. So we're gonna get you there. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe down the line one day, I'm like, you know what? I'll be your Paul Heyman. You could just be Brock Lesnar. I'll
Oh,
Paul
great.
Heyman it up. It'll be amazing. It'll be amazing. Think about it.
You don't want to be tag team?
No, I couldn't do that. That wouldn't be fair to you because you'd be doing all the work. It'd pretty much be handicap matches all night, all night. The most you would get out of me would be a tag, a soft shell clothesline, maybe a slap in the face before I run back and I tag you back in. That's all you're going to get out of me. I'm a one trick pony. George has never taken a bump. George has never trained, but honestly, I have loved pro wrestling. And the one thing is I realize that I'm not a professional wrestler. I know this, but I love telling the stories. I love narrating the stories, and I love having conversations like this. And that's what makes pro wrestling fun for me. And you know, whenever I have my doubts about pro wrestling, because a lot of people fall in and out of love with pro wrestling, I have a few times. I've lost my, to quote Shawn Michaels, I've lost my smile sometimes when it comes to pro wrestling. But then I meet someone like you whose energy is infectious, and I see the pure, unadulterated love you have for professional wrestling. And that makes me fall in love with professional wrestling all again. And that brings me to my last question. Have you yourself ever fallen out of love with professional wrestling?
So I was actually just gonna say, I just have one more thing to say. And this is it. So I feel like just because I went in so early on
Mhm.
and I wasn't aware of, like, I'm in the stage of figuring out who I am too. So it was kind of hard to put everything into wrestling and then walk away from it and be like, oh, wait, whoa, like, what do I do with myself? I kind of was like, but who am I? Like, I know what Jalen Hill wants to portray, but
Mhm.
like, who am I personally?
Mhm.
Um, and I actually was really struggling. So just in general, and I feel like not many people talk about mental health as much as they should. And I know that that's always literally said, but I feel like when you are struggling, people will say, like, oh, like reach out. And then you will, and they'll be like, oh, but everything will be okay. Oh, you'll be back at crossbody. Oh, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay, but that's not helping me. Like, that's why you don't reach out. Um, so I actually reached out to Tyler Thomas, and just because I felt like he is a very pure human who will sit and listen and help you. and not tell you it's going to be okay when you feel like it's not going to be. So I just felt like I needed that help. So I messaged Tyler, and immediately, like, he didn't ask any questions. He just, because I was in Thunder Bay at the time, I just sat down and chatted with him for a while, and he's kind of the one that helped me get back on track. And I don't think right now he would know that. But yeah, he was kind of the person that I was like, I need help, but I don't want like advice right now. I kind of just want to speak and like someone to understand me. Um, and Tyler has really, really helped me guide me back into my faith as well. And those phone calls are something that I will always appreciate. Um, so yes and no. I feel like now with where I'm at with wrestling and with school, I'm happy just because I have that time to um, like figure out me and then figure out where I'm going to train and all of that. So I'm actually very happy right now. Um, and then I just want to say one more thing, that when it was leading up to my debut to get me ready, mostly all of the training nights were focused on me, improving me, getting more skills and knowledge, all of this. Basically all about me. And I just want to point out that all of Ben's knowledge and skills and learning from Ben Ortmanns and Tyler Thomas. And I did do a couple training sessions with Tid, but that was more when I first started training because I started in 2022. But Tyler and Ben have been there for me, and I am very grateful to have learned from them. Like, I couldn't have asked for better coaches to learn from starting out. So, especially as a female entering the industry and then wrestling with all these male figures, I just am very glad for the males that I get to wrestle with and like the role that they play in my life. Because I know that I can count on every one of them. And even though all of the training sessions were literally focused on me, Alex Gagne, Nilo Reyes, D. Smith, and there was one other student at the time, not there anymore, but showed up mostly like all 3 nights of the week and didn't complain once and just was there for me. And just because of how much time it takes out of your personal life to commit to wrestling in general, I feel like that's something that needs to be pointed out, because I wouldn't have been able to train by myself. Like, other people have to show up, not just you. So I'm really incredible for the friends and wrestling community I've made through that, and the people that have been consistent with me and for me.
Couldn't end it any better than that. Ladies and gentlemen, this interview has been incredible. It's been a journey. I've grown through this interview, and that's the honest truth of it. I see someone who's infectious. I see someone who wants pro wrestling to be better, and someone who just strives to love it for what it is. And it's pure, unadulterated love. And this conversation, in my opinion, this conversation is not a conversation. This is a love letter. This is Lynn's love letter to Lynn. That's what I feel like this is. So thank you so much for this endearing conversation. This will most likely, I've had just over 420 conversations, and this one probably ranks up there as something that I will be very special. And that's not just saying anything, because my dear, keep being who you are, because I said it in the beginning of the show, there's an ID in your future. And I can fucking guarantee that.
Thank
So
you.
keep it up. Okay. Because you're a fantastic person. You're an incredible personality, and Lynn is awesome. She's a rock star. But you know what I just realized today? Braylon's pretty fucking cool too.
Thank you. And just because Crossbody closed,
Mhm.
don't forget, because when Crossbody makes its comeback, because I guarantee you it will, I have all the faith in the world. Jalen Hill left champion, and she's coming back champion.
Right on. Right on. Is there anywhere, why don't you go ahead and shout out your socials so everyone can keep up to date on your journey as to where you may land, where you may go, where you may move on from here, come when you decide where you're going to continue to train. So go ahead.
Yes, honestly, it's just my Twitter and Instagram at Jalen Hill, and my Facebook is personal, Breland White, but you can add me on there. Basically all wrestling stuff anyway.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's the whole reason most people will be following would be wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
And she is one of the sweetest people in the world. So guys, if you do slide into the DMs, please, above all else, be respectful and be kind. Don't be one of those people. That's all I'm going to say. And those people who don't, they know who they are. Okay. They know. Those people know. But anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Peace, love, and wrestling. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
We just people from the north side. Once and Timmy's at the shore fine. Winter ready on the full ties. Heavy traffic during 4-5. Gotta hustle on your own time. Color people every port side. We just people from the north side.